There are more fancy paintings here, but this one touches my soul.
Welcome to the Inspirational Art Association podcast, a place where artists from around the world share what inspires them with Cindy Lattimore, an art curator and promoter who brings with her 13 years of experience. Settle in, get comfortable, and enjoy the behind-the-scenes exchange with not only world-class artists, but up-and-coming talent as well.
Welcome to this episode of Inspirational Art Association's podcast. And today we welcome Jana Leah McCollum. Welcome, Jana.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes. Jana has been involved. Oh, goodness. When did we catch up? It was when I had a meeting at Howard Lyon's studio in American Fork, Utah. And I think you had just contacted me, say, hey, need any help? I go, hey, come and help pass out information with some of the artists. And I think that was the first time we ever crossed paths, if I remember right.
I think so. I'd forgotten about that. I was thinking I met you at the show just before that.
Okay.
So a friend of mine gave me tickets.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you came up on opening night?
I don't even know which night it was. I think it was on a Thursday, so it was probably not opening night.
Oh, well, I am very grateful that our paths have crossed, and you have been very supportive and always checking in on my family and so forth. So anyway, this year, I'm glad you're back, and your piece. Well, first of all, let's talk about, before we go into your piece, because it's beautiful. I really like what you selected this year. But how did you get into art? Has it always been, I read your bio and you were into commercial art. Did you go to school for commercial art?
I did.
Okay.
I did. But I started being an artist way back when I was about 5. Like all kids, I loved to draw and paint and everything, but I always drew and painted the same thing. And then about the time, well, I know exactly when it was. I was 10 years old in 5th grade. And it was back in the 60s. So that dates me. And there was, I was doing art just like crazy up until that moment. And then I was sitting in my class and there was this little girl next to me named Andrea. And she was perfect in everything. And she even had white go-go boots, which I don't know if you remember how important those were in the 60s. And I looked over at her art and we were doing the cherry blossoms from Washington, D.C. on big paper and with pastels and starch. I don't know what the starch did, but and I looked at hers and I looked at mine and I thought, I'm never going to do art again, because I knew I couldn't do what she was doing. And I quit.
Oh.
And I didn't pick it up again until both my kids were in school. And we lived in Indiana in a town that was more Catholic than we are LDS here. And there was a Catholic girls' boarding school with 400 girls. And there were 400 nuns who, some of them taught the classes at the school. And when the school year was over, they would teach community classes. And I saw a little ad in the newspaper that just said, take an art class. And so I did. And I've been selling my 3rd drawing and my first painting for all these years now. Now it's been about 30 years. Well, yeah, about 30 years this year. So that's when I started really doing art, because my kids were both in school and it just went from there. And then that's when I went to commercial art school and kind of learned a little bit there how to use some of the mediums. But I did, I went to a lot of other classes in museums and just kind of went from there. So
interesting. Yes.
Kind of a funny journey.
Yeah. Well, everyone I've spoke to over the years, their journey, very few of them just know right from the get-go that's what they were going to do. They were going to go to Europe and study or have scholarships to go. I mean, very, very few of them do that and then keep with it. But what made you apply for the JSMB show?
I went, a friend gave me some tickets. Actually, I went with them, and I'd never heard of the show before. And I was so taken with all the art. It just was inspiring. And I have always tried to do inspirational art. And so I feel like that's my calling, is to do inspirational art. And I thought, well, I'm gonna apply. So I volunteered the first year.
Yes, you did.
And then after that, I got into the show. So I've just been so grateful for that. So it's kind of the high part of my years. Pardon?
Yes. I'm so grateful for all the help you've given, even when you are even exhibiting, you'll come over and say, hey, what can I help you with? So that's always been nice to sneak away and grab something to eat. But anyway, your piece this year, Waking Angels Stir. That tell me about it. I mean, it's quite unique. I really enjoy watching the colors you have in there. I'm truly drawn to. But tell me more about this piece.
It comes from two things. One is, for as long as I can remember, every year, one of the gifts that we give as a family is an amaryllis bulb. And the way that started is, my kids, when they were little, I used to talk to them about this gnarly bulb. It just looks plain, like an onion kind of, and it's big. And I talked to my kids about, if Heavenly Father can take this plain looking bulb and turn and have all this beauty come out of it and into these gorgeous red flowers, think what he can do in your life, and think how he can change your life, can help you know what to do, and just kind of explain that to them. And every year when we give away our amaryllis bulbs, mostly to neighbors and things, we give it with a little story that talks about that. And the other thing was, one of my favorite books has always been James Allen's As a Man Thinketh. And I was trying to figure out what to name it, and I don't have it memorized, but the quote is, and it comes on the back of the painting on the card. It says, "The greatest achievement was at first and for a time a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs." And so the painting is capturing the moment that the girls looked from that bulb, the bulbs that are on the table, and they look up at the beautiful flowers above them and realized that concept of, if Heavenly Father can do that with a flower, what can he do in my life? So that's the idea behind that painting. And incidentally, the girls are 3 girls that are in my ward, and 2 of them are twins. And the girl on the left is kind of hunkering down a little bit, trying to help her little sister just to look up and see it. And the other girl, the twins, the one twin is helping the little sister, and the other twin is on her tiptoes looking up at the flower. And after I did the photo shoot, I was showing the girls that picture, and they one of the twins, the one that was hunkering down helping her sister, said to the other one, "You always stand on your tippy toes and try to be the taller twin. So I was a little bit hesitant to use that shot, but it was so cute. And the other little girl, their little sister, wears glasses. And her mom, when they got there, said, do you want her to wear her glasses? And I thought, well, yeah, she probably wants to see. But I said, Addie, what do you want to do? She said, glasses. So it's just fun. Oh, and one other thing about the photo shoot is there were no amaryllis available at the time because it was way too early in the year. And so I took 4 red solo cups and I wired them together and stuck them on a mop handle and stuck that in a bucket so that the girls would have something to look at. And then I showed them all the pictures of what an amaryllis really looks like. So I thought they really did a good job of acting.
Oh, you've had me fooled. I didn't. Oh, that is so interesting. And I know it's going to reach all ages as they come through to see this. Little kids will relate to it. Adults will relate to it. And it's very eye-catching, very striking. So
thank you.
Yes. And you always had unique pieces. Through the years, I've seen, you have such a talent on like the girl in the box that came out. That was, I think that's the first year you were in there. So you've always had some really the meanings behind those with your work.
Thank you.
Really relate to. So with the show, just a few weeks ago, from now. It's coming faster than every year. It just gets faster and faster.
Yep.
That November 30th is opening night, VIP private artist. Just not anybody can show up to that. But the rest of the 3 days, December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, it's open to the public from 8 to 9. No, 10 to 9. I've said it so many times that it's a good thing I have big posters being made up so people don't ask me. Maybe I'll be gone at 3 o'clock and leave Telsha there with you guys to finish up. But during the show, with your experience in it, and you've come to the photo shoots, you've been so supportive. Is there any one experience maybe that you have had that has just been near and dear to your heart?
Yes, the painting that you were talking about with the girl in the box, the idea behind that is that somehow most of us kind of get stuck in a box. We think we're supposed to be perfect and we're not, and we think that society puts us there, but it's us that puts ourselves there. And there was this cute, sweet little man who kept coming by the booth again and again and again. And he came probably about the 4th or 5th time, and I was out getting something to eat, and my husband was there. And he looked up at my husband and he said, "There are more fancy paintings here, but this one touches my soul." And he was crying. And I thought, that's the reason, not just me, but I think all of us in the show, that's why it's the Inspirational Art Association. This is what we're trying to do in the world, is to lift everything.
Exactly. Yes.
So that was very touching.
Yeah, those that have been in the show before, I tried to ask them that as I've been interviewing them, because there is so many. In fact, I had this thought when we were down at primaries with our little granddaughter, and thank you so much for always checking to see how things were going. And actually Sandra Rass was telling me about this, that she was asked to paint some pictures of little kids. We hear about the bad stories, the heartaches that come out of primary, not the miracles that take place that you don't hear that much about. And it made me think about well, with this show, I should be writing down some of these experiences that we have seen. Of course, not to name names, that's a private moment, but I think, a connection, especially with a connection to a certain piece. And people, I think, hunger for trying to find that, because if they don't know how to get it themselves, it's and like I've mentioned, that one gentleman that came the very first show that I was doing it, and he just comes off the street because we were down in the Bonneville room, and he just says, "What's this that I'm feeling?" And sometimes we take it for granted of what we're feeling, because we have access to it, especially there at the JSMB. There's no better place for that just spirit to be there. But some people just don't understand where that feeling's coming from. And when they see a piece of artwork, like, wow, what am I feeling? And it's nice to be part of that healing in others. That's a service that we can do as we share our talents with others. So Jana, what do you have any questions for me? Or you know me, you see what you get what you see. I mean, there's no pretense with me.
Actually, I do have a couple questions. You and your family are accomplishing people.
Oh,
and I've met some of your kids, and even your little Collins. Was there anything that special that you taught your kids when they were growing up?
Oh, wow.
Like a special, concept or something?
Good question. Because each one is different. You think that they come from the same family, they'd be so, but every one of my children look unique. They're not, sometimes people could say, "Oh, I can tell you're a Lattimore," or whatever. But I know that especially my girls, when they were dating or when they were first married, some of the comments were, "Boy, you have such strong girls." And especially some of the trials they have been going through, my heart aches for them sometimes when they do go through things, but they've got it. They will. But I always let them know that, hey, there is no limit to what you want. And I think too, from when I was growing up, there was kind of in fact, my one daughter and I was talking just recently about this. It wasn't like my parents' fault or anything, but you weren't considered like, "Oh, you're going to go to college," or "What are you going to do when you grow up?" Now the guys, that's the way it was. So I never thought too much about it. But with my girls, I said, you dream it, you can have it. And I think sports helped them a lot. Of course, grades had to be first, but out of our 5 children, 3 of them went to college on track scholarships. And the other 2 started their own businesses when they were fresh off a mission or fresh. Telsha was just 19, 20 when she owned her first restaurant. So,
oh, wow.
Very supportive, supported that way. And their father is that way, whatever, because I was always doing things when they were growing up and I just dragged them with me. And my boys taught them. I hope they're still doing it. If not, my daughter-in-laws better tell me, open the doors for the women. I don't care. I'm for a woman being able to do whatever she wants to better herself, to help others. But, it's okay to have the door open for you, or, hold the girl's hand while you're walking somewhere, just those kind of tender things, but also be so supportive to what they desire. And President Nelson did mention that, what, men, support your your wife if they have dreams. And so I've had, and during my life growing up, I mean, not growing up, but, raising my children, I've had experiences where I have been with leaders in the church they are so supportive of the women being able to go out and do good and have knowledge. And so my girls, my kids are really good that way. And it was my desire that my children be close. we did things, we boated, we did things where they were always together. And it was things that didn't matter what age they were, that it was something they always liked to do. And so they've always been so supportive that way. Like you see them come down to the art show, fly in.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes. And very supportive no matter what we do. If we're out doing a temple, they come and take care of the house. So, I've been really, really fortunate. I don't know what I did in the pre-existence, but I do have good kids, and they know that I'd lay my life down for any one of them, and for my grandchildren. I never thought I'd have 17 grandchildren, but of course, when they come 2 at a time, Lennox and Jax, they're just 6, and they are just fun. But I've been lucky that way. But I always had a vision that I would be a mom someday, and I had it already in my head. I'm not necessarily a dreamer, but I'm one. If you think it, it's going to happen. So I've always had a vision of things that I wanted to do, and then when I'm finished with that, I find something else to do, because I'm not ready to sit and watch Netflix and eat ice cream or something like that.
Yeah.
Do that, even though my kids tease me about the big TV I have down in the family room off the kitchen. That's what I wanted for Christmas one year, and so I just been lucky that way. There's just no magic recipe to why my kids have turned out the way they have, but it's fun to sit back and watch how they parent, and
yeah.
And I can be the grandma to spoil them and send them home, that type of thing. But I've only have my youngest son and my youngest daughter live close by, and my son and they're only 13 months apart, so they've always been really close. But they're kids, 4 boys and 1 girl. Well, and Collins is the only girl, and the 2 6-year-olds and the 2 4-year-olds. Oh, and Knox, he's just turned 3.
Knox.
Knox, yeah.
He lives like Fort Knox.
Yeah, that was so Corbin's has 3 boys, Owen and Ollie and Knox, and we get to hang out with them a little bit. But it's fun to see all 5 of those boys in the backyard with their shirts off in the summer, riding an old motorized vehicle that somebody had left at the house one time. And it's just fun to watch them be kids. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see you and hang out. And your husband, he's a delight. He's just such a nice. He just sits there and is quiet and just has a smile on his face. And they're at the show. Yeah. But good to see both of you. And you have a good Thanksgiving. And we will just see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I always have to have the show done that Friday before Thanksgiving. And otherwise, whatever didn't get done is not going to get done.
Right. No. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And you have a good day.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.